Hi everyone, my name is Sasha. I'm a customer engineer for almost 5 years now here at Google. I'm based in Munich and I'm here today to talk about getting started with Dataflow templates. Before we start talking about Dataflow and templates, I would encourage you to watch the Getting Started with Apache Beam video first to get a better understanding of what we are talking about in this video. So what is Google Cloud Dataflow? Dataflow is a fully managed service for building and managing data processing pipelines. Dataflow takes care of all the infrastructure and operational overhead that comes with running a data processing pipeline. This lets you as a user focus on developing and deploying your pipelines without having to worry about servers or any other infrastructure aspects. Dataflow is also a scalable and reliable service, especially scalable whenever you are dealing with bounded or unbounded sources. Dataflow can automatically scale up and down based on the needs of the pipeline. And on the other hand, it's also cost effective, meaning it follows a pay as you go pricing model. So you only pay what your pipeline actually uses. So essentially, it's a managed service that lets you develop Apache Beam pipelines and run them on Google infrastructure. And then the question is, what is a Dataflow template? A Dataflow template is a reusable package of code that lets you deploy pipelines with customized parameters. So you can build pipelines in a reusable way and are able to discover data processing logic that someone else within the company or outside the company has already built. So what are the benefits that template add? On the one hand side, if you have the needs, like in that scenario, for instance, you want to build and share pipelines that are developed by a central team, you want to enable business users to launch pipelines which are non-coding personas, or you want to schedule jobs using cloud native services, the solution could be to separate the actual development of pipelines and the execution, so that on the one hand side, a central platform team could be able to develop the pipelines, and users that need those pipelines can then execute it with their own specific parameters. Two benefits that the templates add are, on the one hand side, as I said, the reusability. It's not just that one person develops a pipeline and is able to use the pipeline. Actually, the pipeline can be used multiple times, which results in saving time and effort. And on the other hand, it provides consistency. The templates ensure more or less that the pipelines are executed in a consistent manner. There are two types of templates. On the one hand side, we do have traditional templates and we do have flex templates. We will talk about them individually right now. Traditional templates are, from the development flow, a little bit different than the flex templates. So a developer is creating a pipeline, test the pipeline, and then once the person is satisfied, it creates a template containing all the libraries and dependencies that are necessary and stores the template on an object store like cloud storage. People are then able to refer to the template and use the template whenever they need it. So they are able to specify their own parameters and start the pipelines individually. Whenever you implement such a traditional pipeline, you have to use the so-called value provider class So instead, if we have a word count example and we have an input file, which is basically a string that refers to a file location, you have to use the value provider class. And whenever you submit the pipeline, you have to add the template location so that Dataflow is able to locate the template and run it afterwards. There are a few limitations. So whenever you are developing traditional templates, you need to make sure that the IOs for connecting and storing data support the value provider class. And another limitation is that the job graph itself is static, so you're not able to have a dynamic job graph based on certain parameters whenever the template is submitted to run. The second type of template is the flex template. The development flow here is a little bit different. Person is developing a pipeline, tests it, and is fine with the results. So at the end, a template metadata file is created on a cloud storage, and a Docker image of the pipeline is stored in a container registry, and you're then able, the users that are then able to refer to the template file and are able to submit the code to execute the actual Beam pipeline. And the build and execute part of the template would look like the following. So you would use the gcloud command line tool, where you would use the build command to create the template spec file, which sits at a cloud storage bucket at the end. And whenever you want to run the pipeline, you're referring to that template spec file and are then able to run the pipeline. From an advantages point of view, compared to the traditional templates, there's no need to have the value provider class in your implementation. And on the other hand side, you would be able to create a dynamic job graph where you have, for instance, different IO connectors as an input based on certain parameters that are submitted whenever the template gets executed. There is also a pre-built template library that is available in the Google Cloud Console, that it helps you get data from A to B, so especially for point-to-point transfers or utility helper functionality, for instance, formatting or changing the format of files from CSV to Avro, for instance. And whenever you want to run such a template, you are also able to define a UDF, a user-defined function. For instance, if you want to move a file from cloud storage, from the object store, so we're talking about a file, to a database, you're able to define your own user-defined function in JavaScript for the mapping, for instance. All those libraries are available on GitHub, and they are actively developed. So whenever you have the need to do certain data processing tasks, it would be great to look first at the templates library, because then if there is already a template that does the job, there is no need to develop the whole pipeline by yourself. In the Google Cloud Console, it would look like the following. Whenever you go to the Dataflow page, you have the option. There is a button saying create job from template. Whenever you click on it, you end up on a view like that, where you're able to select what template you want. You select a regional endpoint and you add a name. And then you can also define optional parameters if you would like. There are 3 types of pre-built templates available. On the one hand side, we do have templates for streaming data, so where data needs to be continuously processed. There are templates for batch pipelines whenever you process data in a bulk, whenever you are, for instance, processing a file. And there are, as I said, utility templates available as well that help you, for instance, compress a file, that let you change the format of files, and so on. To close the presentation, I want to show you a demo, but before we do so, I want to show you the repository of the templates, which is called Dataflow templates. And as you navigate through the README, you see the templates that are available to you. So we have the streaming templates, we have a getting started word count example, we have the batch pipelines, batch templates that you can use, and then you have the utility templates that you can use. If you want to run a Dataflow template, you have to navigate to the Dataflow page in the Google Cloud Console. If you want to do it visually, you can also do it via REST call or command line, but in a visual way, you have to navigate to the Dataflow page, click on jobs, and then select the button Create Job from Template. And then you are redirected to a page that looks like this. You are asked to enter a job name, you have to select a regional endpoint, and then you have to select the Dataflow template that you want to use. In our case, I want to convert my CSV file into the Avro format. So there are a few required parameters that need to be entered. First, I have to add the file formats of the input file and the output file. So I have a CSV as an input. I have an Avro file as an output. I have to specify the file pattern that has to be read, so I can specify one or multiple files. I have to specify the output directory where the results are stored, and then I have to specify a schema file for the conversion of the data into the Avro format. Once that is done and the information is entered, we can scroll down and click on Run Job, and we are going to be redirected to the jobs page, where once the job is started, we should see the tree of the job, and at the end, the job status should be succeeded. Once the job is succeeded and done, we see a page like that where we see the status, what job type it was, what the elapsed time was, how many CPUs, memory, and storage have been used, and we see the pipeline options at the bottom. If we now navigate to the cloud storage bucket, we see that there is the input file called template CSV, there is the schema file for Avro, and then there is the output file that has been generated by the pipeline. So you can use whatever template is available. So it doesn't have to be like a conversion. You can use it for constantly streaming data into a database, for instance, or you can use it to move batch data from A to B. Dataflow templates are quite helpful, especially if you have to do point-to-point transfers for your data by just doing small manipulations. They help you quite a lot, saving time and effort developing them. I hope you enjoyed the presentation about Dataflow templates, and I hope you can leverage templates in the future, either by using the pre-built templates or by developing your own custom templates. Thank you.